Imagine waking up every morning feeling that something is wrong. It's not a specific pain, nor a clear symptom, just a persistent sensation that your body is functioning below its optimal level. You ignore it, drink your coffee, swallow a painkiller, and go about your day. What you don't know is that you're feeding an invisible monster that silently devours your health day after day, minute after minute. This isn't a fictional scenario. This is the reality for 87% of Americans today. Welcome to the abyss of self-delusion, where millions of people in the United States live believing they're good enough, when in fact, they're fueling an imminent collapse. This silent mistake isn't just common, it's epidemic. And the scariest part? You're probably committing it right now as you watch this video. Let me tell you about Michael, a 42-year-old executive from Boston. For all intents and purposes, he was the portrait of the American dream. Successful, with a loving family, his own home, and a rising career. He woke up at 5 a.m., went to the gym 3 times a week, ate what he considered a balanced diet, and slept his 7 hours a night. He believed he was in total control of his health. Until one day, during a crucial presentation, his body simply shut down. It wasn't a classic heart attack or an obvious stroke. It was what doctors at the Mayo Clinic now call progressive systemic failure. The diagnosis revealed that despite his superficial efforts, Michael had ignored the silent mistake for years. His body was literally imploding from within, cell by cell. What was he doing wrong? The answer will shock you, not for its complexity, but for its frightening simplicity. We live in an American society obsessed with health hacks, miracle supplements, and revolutionary diets. The wellness market in the US reached $52.5 billion in 2024, growing 12% from the previous year. We're bombarded with information, apps that count steps, smartwatches that monitor heartbeats, and doctors who prescribe increasingly sophisticated tests. Still, 68% of Americans develop at least one chronic disease before the age of 50. This isn't a coincidence. It's the direct result of the silent mistake. Dr. Eleanor Richardson, a neuroscientist at Stanford University who has dedicated 15 years to studying subconscious patterns of health self-sabotage, explains, "The human brain evolved to seek comfort and minimize immediate discomfort. This evolutionary adaptation, which served us well in environments of scarcity, has become our main trap in modern America's society of abundance." What Dr. Richardson discovered is alarming. There's a neurological blind spot that causes 94% of Americans to consistently underestimate the damage of small daily choices, while significantly overestimating the impact of occasional positive interventions. In simple terms, your brain is programmed to deceive you. You probably fit into one of these profiles. You work hard, try to eat well most of the time, exercise when possible, and occasionally check your health indicators. You consider yourself reasonably healthy. Perhaps not perfect, but definitely better than average. This is exactly the thinking that is silently destroying your body. Let's give this phenomenon a name: progressive homeostatic dissonance, PhD. It's when your body is sending constant warning signals that your mind consciously reinterprets as normal or temporary. The case of Jennifer, a 36-year-old teacher from Portland, is emblematic. After years of teaching her students about health and wellness, she was diagnosed with what doctors called premature cellular aging. Her cells had the biological signature of someone 22 years older. The shock came when doctors identified the cause. It wasn't genetics nor significant environmental exposure. It was simply the microscopic accumulation of thousands of small daily decisions she had normalized. "I never made any major health mistakes," Jennifer shared in her testimony to the Cleveland Clinic. "I was never a regular smoker, didn't drink excessively, wasn't significantly overweight. I was the definition of moderately healthy. And that was exactly my mistake." What Jennifer, Michael, and probably you are facing is a fundamental flaw in how we conceive health in the United States. Our culture values convenience above consciousness, quick results above consistency, and dramatic interventions above silent maintenance. A recent study by the American Medical Association revealed that 78% of Americans can immediately identify the symptoms of a heart attack, but less than 12% can recognize the signs of gradual metabolic deterioration, the true silent killer that precedes almost all chronic conditions. Think of your body as a complex ecosystem, not unlike the fragile coral reefs of Florida. If the water temperature increases by just 1°C, the corals don't die instantly. They begin a slow and imperceptible bleaching process. Months later, the entire reef collapses, seemingly suddenly. Your body works in a frighteningly similar way. Each time you swap a nutritious meal for fast food, just this once. Each night you sacrifice 30 minutes of sleep for one more episode of a series. Each morning you replace water with an energy drink. You're raising the temperature of your internal ocean by fractions of a degree. Imperceptible in the moment, catastrophic in the accumulation. Researchers at the University of Michigan have identified that the average American commits approximately 127 health micro-errors daily. Most of them don't cause immediate perceptible harm. It's this absence of immediate consequence that creates the illusion of safety, what psychologists call progressive normalization of deviance. It's no coincidence that American health statistics remain alarming, despite unprecedented access to information and medical technology. The rate of type 2 diabetes has increased by 28% in the last decade. Autoimmune diseases have grown by 41%. The average age of the first cardiovascular event has decreased from 64 to 58 years since 2010. And the most disturbing part, normal blood tests frequently fail to detect these deteriorations until they reach critical levels. A CDC study demonstrated that 70% of people who suffer sudden cardiac events had blood tests considered within normal parameters in the 6 months prior. This leads us to an uncomfortable truth. The conventional American medical system, with its focus on treating diseases instead of cultivating health, is fundamentally ill-equipped to help you avoid this silent mistake. When your doctor says your tests are normal, what he really means is that you haven't yet crossed the line of formal diagnosis. Not that your body is functioning optimally. As Dr. Andrew Weil, a pioneer of integrative medicine at the University of Arizona, states, the space between not sick enough for diagnosis and truly healthy is where most Americans live today, a metabolic limbo that eventually collapses. Block 2. So, how do we identify and correct this silent mistake before it manifests as a health catastrophe? The answer isn't in yet another fad diet, miracle supplement, or cutting-edge fitness device sold on American TV. The solution lies in a fundamentally different approach, one that goes against practically everything mainstream health culture in the United States has taught us. Dr. Peter Attia, a renowned physician specializing in longevity and author of the bestseller Outlive, discovered through extensive research that most popular health interventions address only 20% of the factors that truly determine our long-term well-being. The other 80%, the true territory of the silent mistake, remain neglected. There's a fundamental difference between not being sick and being truly healthy, explains Dr. Attia. Conventional American medicine focuses almost exclusively on treating diseases, not on optimizing health. It's as if we're so busy putting out fires that we forgot to teach fire prevention. Let's take the revealing case of Thomas, a 39-year-old personal trainer from Denver. His profession required him to maintain a fit and healthy appearance. He religiously followed a protein-rich diet, trained intensely 5 times a week, and even occasionally competed in CrossFit events. His doctor considered him a model patient based on his routine exams. So why did Thomas wake up one day unable to move the left side of his body? The MRI revealed something that his annual medical checkup, conducted just 2 months earlier, did not detect: chronic systemic inflammation that had reached critical levels, resulting in a mini-stroke. The subsequent investigation showed that, despite his dedication to superficial health, Thomas was committing the silent mistake on multiple fronts. I realized I had confused physical fitness with health, Thomas confessed on his blog that now helps thousands of Americans. I could do 100 burpees, but my body was literally inflamed inside. I could lift heavy weights, but my heart rate variability, a crucial indicator of nervous system resilience, was dangerously low. This is the core of the silent mistake, confusing external markers of fitness with true internal health. It's possible, and alarmingly common, to look healthy while your body is crumbling inside. According to Harvard University research, there are 5 silent pillars of health that most Americans compromise daily without realizing. First, sleep quality, not just quantity. A study from the University of California, Berkeley, demonstrated that even small disruptions in sleep architecture, the specific phases and cycles, can increase inflammatory markers by up to 39%, even if you sleep the recommended number of hours. Your smartphone on the nightstand, emitting blue light and occasional notifications, is not a harmless habit. It's a direct attack on your biochemistry. Second, exposure to endocrine disruptors. The average American is exposed to more than 80,000 commercial chemicals, many of which mimic hormones in the body. According to the Environmental Working Group, these compounds are present in everything from plastics and food preservatives to cleaning products and cosmetics. Your body did not evolve to process this chemical assault, and the cumulative damage is devastating. Third, nutritional density, not just caloric deficit. A Tufts University study revealed that 63% of Americans who follow conventional healthy diets still have multiple micronutrient deficiencies. You can be thin and simultaneously malnourished at a cellular level. Fourth, autonomic nervous system balance. Dr. Stephen Porges, pioneer of the polyvagal theory, demonstrated that chronic low-grade stress, something so common in American life that we barely notice it anymore, keeps many people in a continuous state of fight or flight, silently sabotaging every metabolic function. Fifth, microbiome integrity. The American Gut Project documented that the average American has lost approximately 40% of intestinal microbial diversity compared to populations that follow more traditional lifestyles. This loss is correlated with virtually all rising chronic diseases. These 5 pillars interact in profound and complex ways, explains Dr. Rhonda Patrick, a biochemist and nutritional medicine specialist. Compromising one of them inevitably affects the others, creating a cascade effect that can remain invisible for years or decades before manifesting as diagnosable disease. Here's the most revealing part. Mayo Clinic studies show that even small, consistent improvements in these 5 pillars can reverse damage you believed was permanent. Consider the inspiring case of Sarah, a 51-year-old executive from Chicago. After receiving a diagnosis that her doctor called accelerated aging, she abandoned conventional approaches and adopted what she calls the micro-habits revolution. Instead of unsustainable drastic changes, she implemented small interventions aligned with these 5 pillars. She established a strict digital curfew 2 hours before bedtime, completely transforming her sleep architecture. She replaced all plastic products in her kitchen with glass and stainless steel alternatives. She added leafy green vegetables to every meal, no exceptions. She implemented 3 daily 3-minute intervals for deep breathing. And she incorporated naturally fermented foods into her daily breakfast. None of these changes were dramatic or impressive, Sarah shared in a TEDx talk. None required me to reformulate my identity or make radical sacrifices. They were small adjustments that directly addressed the silent pillars I had neglected for decades. The results? In 11 months, all of Sarah's biological markers, from systemic inflammation to mitochondrial function and telomere length, reversed to levels typical of someone 15 years younger. Her doctor initially suspected laboratory error and repeated the tests. The silent mistake that many of us make, observes Sarah, is believing that health is built through large and occasional interventions, when in reality it's the product of hundreds of small daily choices. Science validates this approach. A 2024 longitudinal study from Stanford University followed 4,200 Americans who implemented similar micro-interventions versus those who followed conventional health approaches. After 2 years, the micro-intervention group demonstrated 42% fewer systemic inflammatory markers, 38% better heart rate variability, 27% better insulin sensitivity, 64% fewer reported autoimmune symptoms, 83% fewer new diagnosable conditions. The question you should be asking now is, how do I start correcting my own silent mistake? The answer is both simple and revolutionary. We must abandon the hack mentality that permeates American wellness culture and embrace a truly systemic approach, one that honors the complexity of our bodies instead of reducing them to simplistic machines. Start by questioning your most basic assumptions. What does it really mean to be healthy beyond the mere absence of diagnosable diseases? What would your life be like if every cell in your body functioned optimally? What small choices do you make daily that, while seemingly inconsequential in isolation, could be silently sabotaging your vitality? Imagine if, instead of following the endless cycle of fad diets and extreme exercise regimens typical of American culture, you approached your health like a conductor leading a symphony orchestra, each element working in precise harmony with the others. True health isn't something you achieve once and you're done, teaches Dr. Frank Lipman, a pioneer of functional medicine in New York. It's a daily practice that requires attention to subtle signals and constant adjustments. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of this approach is its accessibility. You don't need expensive equipment, exotic supplements, or access to elite clinics. The most effective interventions are often the simplest and the most ignored. What will you do with this information? Will you continue on the path of progressive normalization, where each small compromise seems harmless until the accumulation becomes catastrophic? Or will you choose the vigilant awareness that characterizes those who truly thrive? The choice, as always, is yours. But now you can no longer claim ignorance about the silent mistake that may be sabotaging your health at this very moment. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment sharing which of the 5 silent pillars you believe needs more attention in your life. Your journey might inspire others who are just beginning to awaken to these truths. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content that challenges conventional health narratives and reveals the truths that the American wellness industry often ignores. Together, we can create a silent revolution, one that begins with small daily choices and culminates in truly vibrant lives. And remember, your health is much more than the sum of its parts. It's a complex and integrated system that deserves your respect, attention, and conscious care. Not just when something goes wrong, but in every moment of every day.